games with Falloff, games without Falloff. So let's talk Falloff. What even is this Falloff that everyone wants? Well, it's simple. It's a way of limiting your characters to specific range and make them do less damage from far away. These range limitations work to make characters more unique. Someone like Chomper is very range limited due to him being a melee character, but he's still pretty unique in terms of playstyle, and even though he basically has no range on his primary, he isn't underpowered due to getting more damage as a positive trade-off for that. If everybody would have an infinite amount of range and no range limitations, the game would just be oops all snipers and feel a lot less unique. Hero shooters are liked because every hero plays and feels different, and Falloff is a way of differentiating between different intended ranges for characters. But Falloff isn't the only option to balance range. Other options that are available are spread and recall, but currently both of those aren't implemented in a strength that would negate the need of Falloff for PFN. And even then, there's just something about the feel of the game that makes too much recall or spread for how you play, especially on consoles. This is why I think that PFN should rather add Falloff than bump up recall and spread to the max. Overall, the lack of Falloff is actually hurting the game and causing more issues. One of them being an unfun playstyle matter. If you don't force players to approach, no one will actually approach. This causes most players to not sit on the point, but rather just stand away from it and shoot people from afar. This overall causes everything to be less fun, and it plays more like a trench war, which is pretty boring. Adding Falloff would force players with characters to approach, some characters more than others, and would overall cause it to be more chaotic and, as such, more fun to play. Another issue caused by no Falloff is the low DPS compared to most other games. PFN's time to kill hovers around 2 seconds, while most other hero shooters have around 1.5 seconds of TTK. The main reason for this is that there is no Falloff and characters have an incredibly long range. Getting killed in 1.5 seconds across the map isn't fun, which is why the time to kill is at 2 seconds. This means that the time to kill has to be adjusted for long and short range at once, causing long range damage to be fine, but short range damage to be pretty bad and weird. Jumping around in someone's face for 2 seconds just feels awkward when compared to a lower time to kill. This is especially visible with characters that are actually range limited, like Chomper, Super Brains, Steam Blaster, or Citron. Yes, some of them might be broken. Steam Blaster, but no one can argue that they feel bad to play. They actually feel a lot better to play. Falloff allows the balance team to balance both short and long range damage, and would allow them to reduce the time to kill to a point where it feels good for every character, without making long range time to kill unfairly fast. A good example of this is Imp and his current rate of fire glitch. The DPS base Imp has feels awful, but he is a short range character, so his long range damage is supposed to be bad, which is why they made him shoot water close and long range. Now compare this to rate of fire Imp. His DPS is doubled, but due to an increase in recall and medium spread, he doesn't really hit any substantial damage on long range. But his close range DPS is high. If you now ask which one is more fun to play, 90% of people would say the rate of fire bug Imp, just because he plays short range, which is good and feels good to play. Every other hero shooter has some form of range limitations, and PFN shouldn't reduce gameplay quality just because it wants to be different. PFN needs Falloff. It makes combat more fun and interactive due to people having to approach. It makes characters more unique to play, as they will play different from one another. It would also allow the deaths to lower the time to kill, to make combat feel less awkward, without hurting the long range balance. Some people argue that this isn't the case due to maps not having sightlines that are long enough to support Falloff, but I don't think the support for Falloff should depend on map design. There are definitely sightlines that are long enough. I know it, I play snipers, and I've also seen other characters play these sightlines even though they're not snipers.